Do you want it this way, LeBron?
Media want it this way.
Do you want it this way, Rich Paul? Do you want it this way? He can't go into the G League and average 20, 25 and stay there until he's ready. With Bronny James, they're questioning it. Because there's no collegiate career to speak of because he had the health issue and never really did anything at USC in his only year there.
Should have stayed in college.
And he ends up getting drafted 55th overall.
Why did he leave college?
I'm saying that's your son, bro. You know the game of basketball. He ain't ready yet.
Will he ever be ready?
Why put him in that position? I'm tired of that sensitive shit. It drives me nuts. We got to preface every comment we make with a bunch of platitudes and laudables about everything. I mean, damn. What do we got to do? Do their laundry before we say something?
Yep, with LeBron you do.
We got to sit there and give them a bubble bath before we said they play like shit. I mean, come on.
Stephen A. Smith goes off about Bronny James not being ready for the NBA. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
You know, I was on First Take, my day job on ESPN earlier this morning, and I spoke about this, and I felt the need to elaborate even further because a couple of people text me and pissed me off, and they know who they are.
Angry Stephen comes home.
People close to LeBron James talking to me about questioning him as a father. Come on, y'all. I mean, it's gotten to a point where this LeBron sensitivity is just beyond the pale.
Cry baby.
You call him the second best player in the history of the game. You're insulting him because you said he's not the GOAT.
How dare you, Stephen?
You're saying that at age 40, we've never seen anybody do what he does, but pointing out at times how he may not have hustled back on defense in a key pivotal moment, and that's a problem.
You're going to jail.
You give him all the praise in the world when he drops 40, but he has a bad night, and you say he had a bad night, and you're hating.
Despicable.
It's ridiculous. But never before has it been more ridiculous than it is right now, because the reality is that we got to be real about what we're seeing when we talk about Bronny James. I am not a person that had a problem with Bronny James being on the court for the season opener with LeBron James. That was a phenomenal moment to see a father on the court with his son who has NBA aspirations playing together for the first time in NBA history.
I cried too.
The Griffies in baseball, Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. were in attendance for it. It was a special moment. My position has always been that should have been the only moment we saw Bronny James in a Lakers uniform this season.
But a lot of people didn't want to see that moment. Not like that. They wanted Bronny James to earn that moment, not be handpicked by LeBron James and the Lakers organization and just, be on a team that way. Cool. If he would have earned it, it would have been a better situation. Wouldn't have been that much media backlash. But just the way that Bronny James entered the NBA, people feel a certain way about that. Stephen A. Smith at first, I seen him. He was kind of standing on business. Maybe he got a couple calls from Rich Paul and Clutch Sports and LeBron like, take it easy. We aren't manipulating the draft. We just want to get Bronny James on the Lakers. So, Stephen, you got to keep that same energy, though. You're trying, but you kind of fall back at times.
Because he's not ready. I'm not here to tell you that he won't be ready. I'm not here to tell you that he won't be an NBA player. I'm not here to tell you that he should give up his dreams and his aspirations. I think the kid's got potential. I think the kid will be in the NBA one day. I watched him in the G League doing this thing. I think he's going to be fine eventually. But that's not the case yet. And because it's not the case yet, and then you see some of these numbers, I do find myself looking at LeBron James instead of Bronny James, because LeBron is the basketball savant. LeBron is one of the top two greatest players in the history of the game. LeBron has forgotten more basketball than most people would know. So no matter what we think about Bronny, he knows more.
Which is why people have an issue with it. LeBron James, one of the smartest basketball players ever, arguably one of the greatest players ever, but he knows what's going on. Everybody wanted to see that moment with Bronny and LeBron on opening night. This is what comes with it. It's not just an opening night thing. Bronny signed to a 4-year contract, so of course there's going to be moments where he gets playing time and he may stink up the joint. So you can't have it both ways when it comes to the Bronny James situation.
But you see what you see. Bronny James has played in 13 NBA games. Ladies and gentlemen, he's averaging 0.3 points, 0.3 assists, and 0.4 rebounds. He shot 1 for 16 from the field in his NBA career and 0 for 7 from three-point range. And he's playing in the first quarter of an NBA game? Really?
First quarter, playing against a bad team that at that point only won, 18, 17 games, struggling without Joel Embiid and Paul George. So, of course, you want to try to get Bronny in there here and there, but it's on the Lakers, too, to not only throw him in randomly, but give him consistent minutes, not just DMPs a lot and then he gets 15 minutes. Of course, he's playing against NBA caliber players, so it could have been players that may not get a lot of playing time. So Bronny's going to struggle either way, so you got to cut the umbilical cord one day.
And everybody wants to look at it, and LeBron has nothing to do with that. He didn't tell JJ Redick to put him in the game. I get all that. But come on. I'm not being cruel to Bronny. I'm looking out. Do you want it this way? LeBron?
The media want it this way.
Do you want it this way, Rich Paul? Do you want it this way? He can't go into the G League and average 20, 25 and stay there until he's ready?
When is he going to be ready, though? Yeah, he could be in the G League for a couple years, but again, he has to get NBA minutes. So it's on JJ, the coaching staff, not to place blame on JJ just because that's what the media is trying to do, trying to spin the narrative. We can't get mad at LeBron, can't get mad at Bronny, so let's point the finger at JJ Redick. That's the type of media narratives you're going to start to see. So with Stephen A. Smith, keep it real, keep it all the way real. Don't be halfway with it. You know there's an issue with Bronny James right now. You don't want to question his game. Don't want to say that he's playing like trash, but it's obvious he's not an NBA-ready player.
Because he's LeBron's son, you know how they're going to judge him.
That's
and before anybody wants to jump on me, remember, I never saw Bronny James play until he showed up in the NBA.
Why not?
And the G League. I refused to watch him because if I watched him, I would have to talk about him. And I didn't want to talk about LeBron James' son because I thought it was so unfair to the kid. He's such a wonderful kid.
Bronny's a great kid. LeBron did a great job raising those kids, but you got to call it like you see it. So what, you're going to just close your eyes and not see Bronny James all these years? Yeah, you may not have to put him on ESPN First Take when he was in high school and his first year in college, but to try to make it seem like you didn't want to see Bronny James, that's a part of the problem with the media. It's because of LeBron James that a lot of people ain't keeping it real when it comes to Bronny.
Wonderful family. I don't want to hear me talking about questioning LeBron James' fatherhood. How many times do I have to rave about LeBron James?
You don't have to
On
question his
ESPN, I
fatherhood.
put up a ticker. Great father, great husband, great philanthropist, great businessman, great actor, great producer, great director. Great. How many times have I said that?
1 billion times. Now keep it real.
I'm simply saying, yo, he's not ready yet. And to put him out there, getting him exposed to that is really hard to watch.
It's hard with a lot of players, but you keep it real, though.
When Kobe Bryant was a rookie and shot those air balls in that closeout playoff game against the Utah Jazz, people were talking about he wasn't ready for the moment. And I thought it was unconscionable what Coach Del Harris at the time did to him by throwing him to the wolves because he got frustrated because Kobe kept talking about how he's going to end up being the greatest ever because he was chasing Jordan and they got tired of hearing his mouth and his bravado. And he threw him to the wolves very unfairly, which I think is something that ultimately ruined Del Harris because he shouldn't have done that.
Deflecting.
But nobody questioned whether or not Kobe Bryant belonged in the NBA.
Of course not.
Nobody questioned that.
No one's questioning that. Of course, there was some backlash with Kobe being thrown out to the wolves, but look what he became. Of course, Kobe and Bronny, two different calibers. You can't even compare the two. But at the end of the day, when are you going to throw Bronny in the game? This was a perfect opportunity against a struggling Sixers team without their two best players. Why not throw Bronny in the mix? Why not throw him out there to the Wolves? This was a game the Lakers could have won. I know AD went down with an abdominal injury, but whatever the case is, these are the moments where you got to get Bronny in the game, but you got to get him in games more consistently. If you want to put that out there as far as a narrative, Bronny not getting consistent minutes, that's one thing. But to say that him being put in the Sixers game is a huge backlash and kind of deflecting and not wanting to be like it's Bronny's fault, of course, but he got to play eventually. It is what it is.
With Bronny James, they're questioning it.
Always
because there's no collegiate career to speak of because he had the health issue and never really did anything at USC in his only year there.
Should have stayed in college.
And he ends up getting drafted 55th overall.
Why did he leave college?
And I don't care about the money that he's going to end up making. Like he'll end up making over a span of a couple of years, $8 million, while the other 55th pick from the year before that probably made about $800,000. The hell with that. LeBron James is underpaid. LeBron James is underpaid.
Who cares?
He should get paid much more than he's getting paid. And any money
stick to Bronny,
that
bro.
He could get for his son, he could get for Rich Paul, he could get for anybody. He should get because he is underpaid with what he means to the NBA. I don't care about the money.
No one cares.
I care about what the kid is being exposed to. With LeBron James' mystique hovering over him. 0.3 points, 0.3 assists, 0.4 rebounds. 1 for 16 shooting overall, 0 for 7 from three-point range, 13 games. There are millions of kids out there starving to play in an NBA game that are more qualified than his stats show.
Most definitely.
And what I'm saying is, if you see a son being exposed to things they may not be ready for, when do you wrap your arms around them and say, all right, now's not the time?
All that may be true, but at the end of the day, I hope the media stays on this point. The finger needs to be pointed more towards LeBron than JJ Redick. The only reason why Bronny James is in the NBA right now is because of LeBron James. He wanted to play with his son Bronny. He got his wish. Now if Bronny starts to stink up the joint, having offers, multiple turnovers, no points, this is what you get with Bronny James.
I used a boxing analogy on First Take earlier today. And I used Marvis Frazier, the son of Joe Frazier. Go back and look at the highlights. He went into the ring against heavyweight champion Larry Holmes, who had one of the best jabs and one of the best right hands in boxing history. And I remember Larry Holmes being interviewed and saying, ain't no kid with 10 damn fights beating me. That's what he said. And then went in there and beat him in the first round. Remember, he dropped him. And then remember, Frazier gets up. And if you remember the fight, ladies and gentlemen, Larry hit him with a right and waved the referee on. Hit him with a right and waved the referee to come and stop the fight. Hit him again, waved the referee to stop the fight.
So that's what Tyrese Maxey should have did. Should have been waving at JJ Redick. Take Bronny James out the game earlier. I'm about to cook him. Again, you could throw all the boxing analogies out there. I get what you're trying to say. They're not putting Bronny James in the NBA Finals or in a playoff moment. This is against a bad team that can't win a game. So, you got to throw him in there eventually.
Because he knew the kid didn't belong in the ring with him. And you know who took the hits for that? Joe Frazier, former heavyweight champion of the world, one of the great fighters in history, had no business putting his son at that early stage in the squared circle with Larry Holmes. Look it up.
No thanks.
That's all I'm saying. With LeBron, the best of intentions. Wonderful father by all accounts.
Of course.
I'm not casting any aspersions on him. I'm saying that's your son, bro. You know the game of basketball. He ain't ready yet.
Will he ever be ready?
Why put him in that position? You had your moment being on the court with him. Now that kid's got to go earn his stripes, which I believe he will do. Watching him in the G League.
Then in that case, he put together a string of good G League games. Why not throw him in there if he's averaging 20 to 25 points over the last 7-8 games of the G League? This was a great opportunity to see what he got.
You can't do this. You can't continue to let us see what we've been seeing. And I'm wrong. I'm questioning him as a father because I'm saying, yo, wrap your arms around him and say not now, not just yet. That's questioning somebody's fatherhood. You see, that's why, ladies and gentlemen, contrary to what people believe, I have a great relationship with a lot of NBA players. You don't have to know that. I know that.
We all know that.
I know who talks to me. I know who gives me information. I know who reaches out to me. There's plenty of players. Some of the stars don't, and I could give less than a shit.
Wow.
Because we've devolved to a point where literally trying to be constructive and helpful is considered hating. They adopt it. Their hanger-ons adopt it. And you're the villain for pointing out the obvious. I'm tired of that sensitive shit. It drives me nuts. We got to preface every comment we make with a bunch of platitudes and laudables about everything. I mean, damn. What do we got to do? You do their laundry before we say something?
Yep, with LeBron you do.
We got to sit there and give them a bubble bath before we said they play like shit? I mean, come on. It's got to stop.
Well, if it got to stop, then keep that same energy with Bronny. Say how you really feel. Don't be muzzled by Rich Paul and Clutch Sports and LeBron. If you feel as though he's not a good player, he's not NBA ready, stand on it. I don't think Stephen A. Smith was wrong for questioning LeBron because the reason why Bronny James is in the NBA is because of LeBron James. So it is what it is, but you can't tell the truth when it comes to Bronny James.